morning. Some of you have asked me what my tricks are from working at home and staying productive and focused. So I'm going to share with you my 7 tips to working from home and still accomplishing your goals, not getting distracted, meeting your deadlines, and getting it done. So I'm going to tell you first that it took me some time to get my schedule and find what works for me down pat. I have worked from home in the past. Periodically, I have done some projects years ago in my 20s. So I learned the act of self-discipline at a very young age when I used to do private investigation work. And that's another whole chapter of my life. That was about 15 years ago. Maybe 10 years ago. But I do have somewhat of a routine. And I didn't think that it was until I put it on paper, and I wanted to go ahead and answer one of my subscribers' questions, so here it is. Number 1, have a schedule. Have a schedule and stick to it. Everything that I do is incorporated into a plan. So I have a routine. I start my morning my alarm. I alternate my mornings, the time that I get up accordingly, depending if I'm going to the gym or not. I find that if I go to the gym in the morning, that I'm the most productive in my day, and it lets the rest of the day flow. It gets my energy going. But I don't go every day. I go about maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Regardless if I'm going to the gym or I'm working from home, I do the same thing every morning. And I'm not saying you have to do this, but this was what works for me. The second I get out of bed, turn my coffee on, jump in the shower, get dressed, put on my robe or my clothes, 50-50 there, and I open, this is very strange, I do this every day, I open my living room door to let the fresh air in while I drink my morning coffee, and I either check the news for the weather, or I look at what my day is, what my plans are for the day. But the funny part of it is the open door. And I didn't think about it until this morning. I didn't even realize that I had a routine. I've been doing this probably for 2 years. And I most enjoy it in the wintertime. I love when the cold air hits me in the morning. It just gives me that jolt and wakes me up. And I leave it open while I'm getting ready. I love the fresh air coming in. It's just very invigorating. So that's a funny part of my routine. But as far as my schedule, everything that I do is written down on my schedule. So what I was doing until last year was I was still putting it on a paper calendar. I'm pretty tech savvy as far as I built my own website. I've done all these different things, but for some reason I couldn't commit to an online calendar. But as my schedule was getting more and more busy, having people call me to make appointments was difficult because I wasn't always available to take their calls. So now I have my online calendar where even if I'm not available, my clients can jump online, book an appointment, and they know they're in there. My online calendar links to Google, which is very easy. So I'll give you some tips on that. I use Time Trade for my online calendar, and you can have different appointments depending on, and time slots, depending on what the appointment's for. So I have time slots for business appointments, time slots for speaking engagements, time slots for consultations for my regular clients for their regular coaching session, all different links. And if you go onto my website, my emails, everyone knows how to get to my calendar. And that links right into my Google Calendar, and it checks for your availability. So as long as you stay on top of your Google Calendar and you put in everything that you have to do in the proper time slots and mark yourself as busy, it won't come up in the Time Trade calendar. So that's been a tremendous time saver for me and had me very organized. So my Google Calendar has a little window that I created a widget. Such a funny word. I created a widget on my desktop of my phone. You can't see this because of the glare. But I'm sure you know what I mean. It gives me a glimpse of what my plans are for the day. And not only do I put my calendar in there for my appointments, but I also, if I have an idea like, oh, I want to make this new webinar project, I put it on my calendar, give myself a deadline, and it comes up in my tasks. So everything I do and every plan that I have, I put onto the Google Calendar as a reminder. I also have, I just started, so it's not completely organized yet, this great program online called 17 Hats. From there, and this works if you're independent. I haven't seen on there where you can incorporate teams into different projects, but it's a project management tool, a customer management tool, and pulls all of it together. It has your bookkeeping, your plans, your projects, your calendar. You can put deadlines on your projects, the details of your project. What else was on there? I just started it a few weeks ago, and I was using a different website for every project, and it just became so like tedious to just, you can even process payments to your invoices, send documents to clients with electronic signature, everything. 17 Hats. It has been a tremendous time saver for me. It was just, that really incorporated everything, pulled everything together. Before, I was going to this app and logging in all over the place. This just made it so much easier. So organization is key. I'm trying to think if there's any other apps that I use. I think that's really the two main things that I do to organize my time and organize my work. So organization. And plan your calendar, get dressed. When I said that I get out of bed and go straight into the shower every morning, without fail, whether I'm going to the gym, whether I'm staying home, whether I have an early morning appointment, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, even if I have a day that is just for me and I don't have any work plan for the day. I like to be productive. I like to feel awake. I get up and get dressed. I am not dressed just for this video. This is me. I'm dressed for the day. And that's what gets me going. I get up, get dressed, get in the shower, just as if I was still going to my 9 to 5. And that's what's helped me be productive. So depending on what your position is, I'm a coach. I'm going to be dressed professionally. Maybe what you're doing isn't necessarily something that you have to be dressed for all the time, but dress how you want to be seen for the position that you have, regardless if you're in your home or you're out. That's probably my number one thing. It might even be above scheduling, because your schedule is not going to matter if you're dragging because you're sitting there in your pajamas and your sweats. I don't know anyone who is productive in their sweatpants. So if you feel like you're dragging in the morning, just take a moment and look down. What are you wearing? I am not saying that you have to mimic my style or that you have to get dressed to the 9 every day. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is dress to the position you would have if you were doing it out with the public. Whatever your position is, cater it around who you are and how you want to be seen. So this is what I'm in the rest of the day. I'm not wearing this just to impress you. And anyone who knows me will agree, this is me every day. So get up, get dressed, and get rid of the sweatpants. Get rid of the jeans. I had a client years ago, and she would tell me every day she wasn't getting anything done. And one day it dawned on me, and I asked her, I said, what are you wearing? She was wearing sweatpants. And I said, okay, no more sweatpants. You need to get dressed and get out of the house and get your day going. And it was like a light bulb. Literally, she got up, got dressed, and the next day emailed me all the things she accomplished. It's a mindset. And it's the funniest thing. And if you're not self-aware, you might not have realized. So if you're sitting in your sweatpants and you're not getting anything done, go take a shower, get your clothes on, and get that as part of your routine, whatever your clothes are. Like I said, I'm kind of dressed up. This is me. I'm not saying that has to be you. Limit your disruptions. So if you're distracted by different things, don't have your TV on. My TV's on right now, but it's just sound. It's music. It's soothing. You might not even hear it. Called soundscapes. You know how you can listen to music on TV? Can you even hear it? Well, this is a quiet one. Usually they have some kind of flutes or something playing. It's very mellow. I don't sit and watch TV all day. I don't allow myself to be disrupted. When I have a plan or something that I'm working on, phone goes off. Oh, now you probably hear it because they changed the music. That's my sound. That's just because I'm in here by myself. It just, I don't know, it keeps my momentum going. I always have it on. If it was on for noise and it was just TV, then I would get sucked into the news or the talk show or whatever nonsense is on the television. So I don't keep the TV on when I'm working. I also don't go on to the social media when I'm working on a project. I say focus on the project. If social media is distracting for you and you have a hard time focusing on the task that you're working on because you're checking Facebook and going onto Twitter and posting to Instagram, and the next thing you know, the project that could have taken you an hour or two has taken you 4, and you're still not done because you're sitting on Facebook and wasting your time. So don't start texting. Treat it like a job. If you were at work and you were in an office environment, there's guidelines. They don't want you doing all these different things all day. They want you working. So imagine you're working for your paycheck. If you're self-employed and you're working from home, you're creating your own paycheck. The less productive you are, the less money you're going to make. So get productive, get focused, and limit your distractions. If you don't have the self-discipline to stay off of these different apps for social media and so forth, there are websites so you can download a program and you can incorporate it into your Google Chrome, whatever it is, and block yourself off from the social media. And some people need that, and that's okay. So if that's a trigger for you and you can't work your own self-discipline into it, block yourself off from the social media. The next thing that I want to talk about is, so we talked about no disruptions. We talked about blocking the social media. Open energy is very important. Be in a room that is free of clutter. If your energy around you is cluttered, your mind is cluttered, and you can't focus. So you can see, this is a perfect example. This is a very peaceful environment. I usually have the waterfall on, but it's a little noisy, so I shut it off for the video. I have sound to limit my outside distractions. I don't have sound with words, because what will happen is subconsciously I'm going to start to memorize the songs and start singing them in my head and get distracted. That's me. I'm not saying that you can't have that, but having the sound on distracts me from, oh, a car went by, oh, kids are outside playing, the neighbor's car won't start, the car alarm went off, or whatever has happened. And I started doing this when I was working, when I was living in Manhattan. I think that's self-explanatory. You hear every sound imaginable if you really are in a quiet place and you want to. So living in Manhattan had taught me to create my own sound so that I was limited by the distraction of the outside sounds. I know I'm back to distraction again. But the room around you, you want to have, maybe you don't have an office, maybe that's okay. When I first was coaching from home, I was still doing it in my bedroom. And what I did was I put up a folding wall behind me, and you couldn't see that on the other side of that wall was my bed. But my desk was clear, my space was organized, and everything was where it needed to be. So whatever work it is that you're doing from home, create a sacred space, which is the next thing. Create a sacred space for yourself that, imagine, even if clients never see your home, imagine that they did every day. Are you proud of the space that you have around you? And when I say that, I don't mean this in a materialistic way, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, you have to have the top of the line everything and go out and spend money and go shopping. That's not it. What I'm saying is free yourself from clutter, be clean, be organized, and your energy is going to change and shift and focus. My office has a second closet in it that I use as backup storage. And for a while, I was going through that closet and I was pulling things out and preparing my donations for the year. And my office was a disaster. And you know what happened? My productivity went down. So, not today, because since we're in here, but the next video that I do in my office, I'll do a walkthrough and you can see it. It's clutter-free, it's organized, and there's an energy that comes into the room. When I first decorated my office, I had dark curtains, and I thought that it looked nice. They were like a deep brown. And when you walked into the room, it was like your energy just dropped because it was just too dark. And I changed the room around, and I have these beautiful deep coral curtains. And I wish it was morning so that I could show you. In the morning, it's absolutely beautiful in my office because I keep the blinds up and the curtains closed. And when the sun hits the coral, my room becomes this glowing, iridescent orange. I don't even turn the lights on, I just sit in it. And it's just this warm, glowing energy. So that's what I mean about creating a sacred space. It doesn't have to be fancy, and my curtains literally change the entire energy of my room. I didn't do anything else. I added a couple of little coral colored accents to pull it all in together. I'm not saying you have to go redecorate, but find an energy that works for you and what you're drawn to, and let that be where you're help to develop your focus and your energy and your productivity and your creativity. If where you're doing your work, you walk into the room and you're like, oh, and you just feel yourself sink, that's not the room that you're going to be productive in. That's not the room you're going to be building your business in. And it's certainly not the room that you want to invite clients into, invite your energy into. And even if your business is completely online, imagine that the hundreds of thousands of people that you're touching every day, regardless of what your work is, were sitting in this room with you. What would they feel? What would they say? So don't get into the habits of thinking that because you work from home, nobody needs to see where you are. That's your sacred space. That's your energy. And what you have around you is going to come through you. So I have to emphasize that, because some people think that working at home in pajamas with your hair and, not done in rollers and not taking a shower and sitting in a messy room is going to create productivity. Your external does affect your internal and your focus and your clarity. So make sure that your outside environment matches your inside and your mind. So those are my 7 tips for you. I hope that some of this helped, and I look forward to sharing the next video with you. Have a great day.